All right, get ready to dig in. Because today we're taking a deep dive into a field that most people probably don't think twice about. Chain making.
It's funny how those everyday objects we take for granted can actually involve some seriously intricate processes.
Exactly. And you send over some fascinating stuff from RoleCatcher about what it takes to be a chain making machine operator.
Definitely worth exploring.
Yeah, even I was surprised by some of the details in there.
It's one of those industries that kind of flies under the radar, but it's everywhere once you start noticing it. Like all those chains you see on bikes and in jewelry, even heavy machinery relies on them.
For sure, and that actually brings up a good point. Where do we even start with a deep dive like this? Should we jump right into the day-to-day of a chain making machine operator?
I think that's a great place to start because it's not as simple as just pressing a button and watching a chain pop out the other end.
RoleCatcher actually uses the word artistry at one point, which I thought was interesting.
Absolutely. The guide breaks down the whole process step by step, and it's surprisingly intricate.
So walk us through what's actually involved.
Well, first you have to feed the wire into the machine flawlessly, like perfectly straight, no kinks or bends, because even a small imperfection can throw the whole thing off.
Wow, so there's a real element of precision involved.
Oh, absolutely. And then comes the actual linking process, connecting each link precisely, then soldering to fuse everything together, and finally inspecting each and every link to ensure both strength and, that it looks right.
It's like a hidden dance between human skill and machine precision. And that actually makes me wonder what kind of person thrives in that type of environment. Like, are we talking about someone who's super meticulous and detail-oriented? Or are there other skills and personality traits that are crucial for a chain-making machine operator?
That's where RoleCatcher's insights get really interesting. They go beyond the typical attention to detail stuff, which, don't get me wrong, is still crucial, but they highlight things like adaptability, problem-solving skills, and even mechanical intuition.
Mechanical intuition. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, think about it. You're working with complex machinery all day long. Being able to quickly spot a potential issue or understand how the different parts interact, maybe even troubleshoot some minor problems on your own, that instinct is invaluable in this line of work because a minor hiccup could mean a whole production line shuts down.
It's like having a sixth sense for how the machines operate.
Exactly. It's about being able to anticipate problems before they even arise and knowing how to fix them quickly and efficiently.
So it's not just about being good with your hands. You need that mental agility too.
hmm
But, okay, let's say you've got the skills and the mindset. What does the actual career trajectory look like for a chain-making machine operator?
Well, RoleCatcher does a really nice job of outlining the typical career ladder in this field,
Mhm.
and it's not what you might expect.
How so? What's the progression like?
It's not like you're stuck at entry level forever. Typically, you start as a junior chain making machine operator, and that's where you really hone those fundamental skills, feeding the wire, understanding how the machines work, making sure those links connect perfectly.
Right, mastering the basics.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher actually includes a quote from someone at this stage who talked about the feeling of satisfaction you get when you see a chain come together flawlessly after you've loaded that initial wire.
I bet there's a certain pride in that, seeing something tangible that you created.
Absolutely. It's that feeling of, I made this, even at that entry level. But then as you gain experience, you might move into a senior operator role.
And that comes with more responsibilities, I'm assuming.
You bet. Now you're not just responsible for your own output, but you're also guiding and mentoring newer operators, troubleshooting more complex issues, really owning that quality control.
Becoming the go-to person on the floor.
Exactly. In fact, RoleCatcher mentioned that many companies actually rely on their senior operators to train new hires.
Yeah.
So there's a leadership aspect that starts to emerge at that level.
It sounds like those problem-solving skills we talked about earlier really come into play there.
Absolutely. And for those who really thrive in that leadership role, the path often leads to becoming a lead chain making machine operator.
Okay, so now we're talking about running the whole show.
Pretty much. You're orchestrating the entire production process for your team, making sure those production targets are met, figuring out ways to maximize efficiency, maybe even collaborating with engineers to fine-tune the machines themselves.
Wow, so you go from focusing on individual chains to overseeing an entire team and directly impacting the company's bottom line. That's quite a journey.
It is. And what I appreciate about RoleCatcher's approach is that they don't sugarcoat things.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, they're upfront about the fact that it can be demanding work, long hours, shift work, and that safety is absolutely paramount in this kind of manufacturing environment. They present a balanced view, both the rewards and the potential downsides, so people can make informed decisions.
That's really important because every job has its pros and cons. It's definitely not a career for everyone, but for the right person, it sounds like there's a lot of potential there. But RoleCatcher doesn't just leave you hanging with a vague understanding of the career path. They actually dive into the nitty-gritty of landing that job, right?
Oh, yeah, they have a whole section on interview prep, and it's gold.
Okay, so like what kind of insider tips are we talking about here?
Well, they break down common interview questions for chain-making machine operator roles and provide strategies for crafting answers that'll make you stand out.
Hit me with a big one. What's a question they should be ready for?
One that seems pretty basic, but it's actually a golden opportunity is, what's your understanding of the production process for chains?
Seems straightforward enough.
It is, but it's your chance to show them you're not just there to punch a clock. You understand the entire ecosystem of chain making, from that initial spool of wire all the way to the final inspection.
So connecting the dots for them, showing that you get how each step impacts the next and how your role fits into the bigger picture.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher suggests breaking down your answer into clear stages, almost like giving them a guided tour of that production line.
Okay, I like that. So paint a picture for them.
Yes, but don't just rattle off a textbook answer. This is where you weave in your personal experience, those aha moments from your training or previous work that show you really get it.
So instead of just saying, I'm a fast learner, you might say, when I was training on this new type of welding, I had this breakthrough moment where I finally understood how the heat and pressure interacted. Something like that.
Perfect. You're bringing those insights to life. And it's not all about technical stuff either. RoleCatcher also emphasizes showcasing those essential soft skills, problem solving, communication, teamwork, all that good stuff.
Because even the most skilled operator needs to be able to communicate clearly with their team.
Right.
Got to be able to troubleshoot together and create a safe environment.
Exactly. They even recommend having a specific story ready for how you've tackled a difficult situation at work.
Like a time you identified a faulty part or maybe a safety hazard.
Exactly. Walking them through your thought process and your actions shows them you can think critically and handle pressure. That's what they're looking for.
This is great stuff. We've gone from the surprisingly complex process of making chains to navigating the career path itself. And now we've even got the inside scoop on how to ace that interview. RoleCatcher has seriously outdone themselves with this guide. But before we wrap up, they also mentioned these adjacent career guides. What's that all about?
Oh, that's where it gets really interesting. It's like they're opening your mind to other possibilities you might not even know exist.
Give some examples.
Well, one that stood out to me was wire weaving machine operator.
Okay, so similar skill set, but a different kind of machine.
Exactly. That precision, the understanding of materials, that intuitive feel for working with metal, it's all transferable.
Like someone who's mastered feeding wire into a chain-making machine could then take those skills and create intricate wire mesh or maybe even those specialized filters.
You got it. And then there's spring maker, which again revolves around working with metal and understanding how it behaves under tension.
Oh.
And they also have metal drawing machine operator, where you're essentially shaping metal into different forms.
So many options. It's amazing to see how those core skills can open so many doors. But we've got to address the elephant in the room here. Automation. How's all this fancy technology going to impact the future of chain making?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And thankfully, RoleCatcher doesn't shy away from it.
Do they have any concrete answers, or is it still a bit of a mystery?
Well, nobody has a crystal ball, but they suggest that adaptability and continuous learning are going to be key.
So not just knowing how to do things the old-fashioned way, but being open to those technological advancements.
Right. Instead of seeing automation as a threat, it's about understanding how it changes the game. In the future, the best chain-making machine operators might need to be as comfortable with programming and troubleshooting software as they are with a welding torch.
It's like that line between skilled trades and tech is getting blurry, creating these tech artisans who can bridge that gap.
I love that. It really drives home the point that even if you're at the top of your game right now, being open to learning new things, whether it's coding, robotics, whatever, that's what's going to make you valuable in the long run. And who knows, maybe those new skills will lead to designing the next generation of chain-making robots. That's a really exciting time to be in this field, even with all the unknowns that lie ahead. If you're intrigued by this blend of precision and artistry with a dash of tech savviness, chain-making might just be the perfect hidden career path for you.